Okay, so yun. Why do risk assessment? Protect ourselves from injuries, prevent accidents and incidents, assess if a work process is safe to proceed, assess the adequacy of the existing control measures and compliance with legal requirements. So I'm not sure. Can some of the audience give some feedback regarding what is the requirements for is it required for laboratories to provide risk assessments here? Safety risk assessments? Perhaps in the industries? Tama ba?
Oo, usually kasama yan sa mga ano, 'di ba? Management systems.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
So, sa industries, wala masyadong problema. That is usually part
Mm.
of the environmental health and safety requirements of the
Yeah.
industries. Pero
Sa
sa academe, hindi pa
bibihira,
masyado.
I would
And
say.
so,
Yeah.
yes, yes. So, and that is why I wanted to like share this kasi I think we really need to practice this in the academe. We need to ensure that we know how to do things properly and safely. And so we have to make sure that we do our risk assessments before our experiments, before our projects. So, yun. Let's just go through like some procedures or steps on how to go about this risk management and assessment. We have covered them a bit kanina, and I'll try to give a bit more details to the different steps in this part. So again, before starting an experiment, work process, or operation, dapat meron kang risk assessment. So you can have an experiment-based risk assessment. You can have a protocol-based risk assessment. You can also have a risk assessment that is specific for a particular project. So for example, if I have a project looking at the looking at extraction of different natural products, then I could have a separate risk assessment for that. Or you can also make it based on the procedure. So for example, in terms of like the initial extraction protocol, you can have your own separate risk assessment as well for it. Equipment, depende sa equipment. So for example, we have an NMR. So NMR, that is highly magnetic, and so you have to take note of like what not to bring inside in the vicinity, in the near vicinity of the NMR. You have to take note of like you have to make use of stainless steel cylinders, gas cylinders. Hindi pwede yung mga um, ferromagnetic na materials inside. Otherwise, they will be flying into your NMR and things like that. You have to make sure that you properly assess the risks, properly identify the hazards, and establish the correct control measures. Okay, so yun. Steps first, form a team to do the assessment, gather the information, and breakdown of the activity to steps. So again, important to this is the breakdown of activity to steps. So dapat as in talagang step by step. So if you are looking at a particular protocol, kailangan yung gagawin mong risk assessment, hihimayin mo yung different steps of your protocol. So hindi pwede na, okay, one bulk, steps 1, 2, 3, ito yung risk assessment niya. Hindi pwede. So dapat it has to be step by step. Information needed, of course, yung laboratory layout plan nyo, what are the different engineering controls that are available as well, yung process flow chart, list of work activities. So yun nga, step by step siya dapat.
Yung balat,
Sorry?
yung leather.
Ay, si Jeff. Okay.
Sorry about that.
So, yung list of chemicals, equipment, and machinery that is used. So, you have to have that information. Safety data sheets and operation manuals, they are important resources or information sources. So, yun nga, safety data sheets will provide you the hazards of the different chemicals and as well as the proper handling and storage conditions. Your operations manuals will provide you with some information regarding the safety hazards of your equipment. So yun, they're very useful. Records of past incidents and accidents, whether it be in the same laboratory or in similar settings or in other laboratories. Also relevant legislation, codes of practice or specification. So yes, depende. There will be regulations with regards to flammables, explosives, explosive precursors, etc. So going back to this, the third step will be to identify the hazards. So anything that can cause bodily injury is identified as a hazard. You have different types of hazards. You can have biological hazards, so those that are involving biological safety, so possible exposures to infectious agents or zoonotic infections. So you have to take note of that. Physical hazards will be anything related to mechanical injuries. Meron pa palang mechanical injuries. So physical and mechanical injuries causing na hazards. So you also have to identify them. Electrical hazards, those that can cause electric shock, electrocution, ergonomic hazards like these, if you're going to lift heavy objects, you need to know how to lift them properly. So these are the things that you have to take note of in terms of the different hazards. And so yun nga, depende sa chemicals naman, you have different hazards pa. So you have those that are radioactive, meron ka pang irritants, this is biological safety, this is your radioactive materials, your irritants, your shock explosives, your flammables, etc. So hazards identification has to be per chemical. And if you have, so there are again chemicals that can have multiple hazards. So you need to do risk assessment per hazard per chemical. So for one chemical, you have to have multiple assessment, depende sa hazards mo. Also, you have to identify the persons at risk. We define risk as the likelihood that a hazard can cause a specific bodily injury.